Springtime 1921 came rather later than usual in the Beijiang region. But when it did come, it came in the time-honored way as a light rain. Soon the soils would soften, the Nihewan basin would be back to its old muddy self, and the green would return. And it was around this time that a French missionary named Ernest Vincent, venturing out into the chilly morning for a walk, found his attention arrested by a strangely shaped stone in a ditch. With all the sensitivity of a naturalist, he picked it up, brushed away the dirt, and confirmed its identity. It was a fossil, the fossil of a bivalve. There in his hand it lay, a fossil, silent and mysterious, pregnant with tales to be told about the evolution of life in all its magnificence. Little did Vincent realize that he had broken a seal of time that would unlock secrets bearing not upon the evolution of invertebrates living in shells, but rather on his own species, human beings. Tianjin sits at the downstream of the 9 rivers. On the banks of the Hebei River stands Beijiang Museum, one of China's earliest natural history museums. Fossils of ancient organisms and ancient humans from the North China Plain are gathered here, collectively narrating the story of prehistoric China.
大家好，欢迎您来到北疆博物院参观。博物馆创建于1914年，是中国最早的自然历史类博物馆之一。标本搜集范围呢，主要是黄河、白河以北的中国北方广大地区。这里呢，藏有非常多来自于河北阳源泥河湾的藏品，有三门马、剑齿。
This is currently the earliest known recorded fossil of the Milu deer in China. And next to it is the fossil of Bison paleosinensis, the oldest known bovine in China. Surrounding them are numerous fossils from China's early Pleistocene epoch, including saber-toothed tigers, somber deer, three-toed horses, hyenas, and a significant number of equus. All these fossils come from a single source: the Nihewan Basin in Yangyuan County, Zhangjiakou, Hebei Province. The founder of the Beijiang Museum was the renowned French naturalist Émile Licent, who conducted fieldwork and archaeological investigations in northern China for a quarter of a century. In March 1921, he called on foreign missionaries in North China to collect fossils. The specimens collected as a result of this drive became the mainstay of the collection, upon which the Beijiang Museum was founded. In June of the same year, Vincent traveled from Nihewan to Tianjin, expressing his willingness to donate the fossils he had discovered to the Beijiang Museum and inviting Licent to join him for further exploration at the fossil site. However, for various reasons, Licent did not immediately set out for Nihewan. On hearing the news, another geologist, Englishman G.B. Barber, made sure to include Nihewan on the itinerary for his next field trip. On September 9, 1924, he arrived at Nihewan for a one-day survey and wrote preliminary observations in the Kalgan area, in which he named the Nihewan beds in the footnotes. From then on, Nihewan was officially on the map as far as the worldwide scientific community was concerned. On September 13th, just 4 days later, Émile Licent also arrived at Nihewan village and began his research on the Nihewan strata. As it happened, coming on the back of each other, these two studies of the Nihewan Basin sparked off a controversy between Lycent and Barber. Who was the first to investigate the basin? But it was a dispute that paled into insignificance when compared with the conclusions arrived by later researchers investigating human origins. With each successive exploration, Nihewan gradually disclosed more of its hidden treasures. In 1948, the Nihewan beds, discovered and named by G.B. Barber, were officially recognized by the International Geological Congress 24 years after Barber's first visit to Nihewan. Turning back the clock over 1.7 million years, Nihewan must have been a beautiful place. Surrounded by towering mountains, a vast lake was tipped by dense forests and expansive grasslands. This was a place that positively teemed with life. For early humans, sticking close to water was essential. Needless to say, the Nihewan people, preoccupied with survival as they were, had no time to appreciate nature's beauty. One thing, and one thing alone, attracted them here: abundant food resources. On one particular day, they feasted on a mammoth that had wandered into a mire. Normally, capturing such a massive animal required the coordinated efforts of many people. But on that day, nature and the creature itself had done the hard work for them. Gratefully, the delighted people brought out their best utensils, some finely crafted stone flakes and scrapers, and savored what amounted to a huge free meal. Only when the last rays of sunlight faded did the feast finally come to an end. It was the dawn of history, and with human beings just beginning to understand the world around them, each day was literally a new dawn. But over time, the face of the earth subtly changed. Around 300,000 years ago, the lake that was the centerpiece of primordial Nihewan, covering up to 9,000 square kilometers at its greatest extent, gradually began to dry up, transforming back into a basin. This area of land, marked by countless gullies and ridges, preserved traces of human life as it was lived then. All lay dormant, including the so-called elephant dining table, in the strata of Majuangu in Yangyuan County, waiting to be rediscovered millennia later in 2002. Along with the elephant dining table, over 100 stone tools re-emerged into the light of day that year. To date, Majuangu provides the earliest evidence of human existence in the East. Majuangu is the earliest known Paleolithic site discovered in Nihewan to date. Nearby are other sites, such as Shaochongliang dating back 1.36 million years, Donggu Tua from 1.1 million years ago, and Maliang from 790,000 years ago. In the paleontological world, they are collectively known as the Nihewan site group, one of the most densely clustered and time-spanning Paleolithic site groups in East Asia, recognized as the homeland of Eastern humans. On this blue planet, humans are relative latecomers. If Earth's history were condensed into a single day, humans would only appear in the last 2 minutes. But regardless of their late arrival, one thing is undoubtedly true. Humans are the most intelligent species on Earth. That said, the Paleolithic, the first chapter of prehistoric human history, which ended some 10,000 years ago, accounts for more than 99.9% of human history. So, for almost all of human existence on Earth, people lived a primitive life relying on a technology limited to what could be created by striking stones together. All the same, such processed stone tools gave humans more confidence, helping them hunt larger, faster animals, and adapt to the unfamiliar natural world around them. Nihewan is the region in East Asia with the most complete record of continuous human evolution. By examining its more than 380 Paleolithic sites, we are able to construct a spatial and temporal framework for nearly 2 million years of human development and evolution. Regrettably, although numerous stone tools and ancient animal fossils were unearthed in the Nihewan area, the area yielded little in terms of human fossils, certainly nothing older than 1 million years. In 1976, at the Hojiao site in Yangyuan County, archaeologists were excited to discover 9 fragments of early Homo sapiens skull fossils. This was the first discovery of ancient human fossils in Nihewan, and they dated back some 200,000 to 160,000 years. In subsequent excavations, a total of 20 ancient human fossils were found. But a different picture emerges if you stand on the ridge of Nihewan and look southeast. 100 kilometers away is Zhoukoudian in Beijing, the discovery site of Peking Man. Cautious archaeologists compared the Peking Man, who lived 700,000 to 200,000 years ago, with the Hojiao man, and concluded that the latter were likely descendants of Peking Man. Thus, the Nihewan Basin became a crucial link in tracing the origins and development of Peking Man. Thus, we can see that in the millions of years of humanity's infancy, our ancient ancestors roamed the land of Hebei, from the northern mountains to the eastern coast, from the southern foothills of the Yinshan Mountains to the eastern slopes of the Taihang Mountains, gathering wild fruits and hunting animals. But around 10,000 years ago, things began to change. our increasingly bold ancestors began to venture beyond familiar territories, courageously exploring the unknown. So it was that Yuanmo 8 Man, Yunxian Man, Lantian Man, Chongzhou Man, Upper Cave Man, and Tianyuan Man migrated across the land of China. Though they had nothing, they were fearless, wielding stone tools, following water sources, step by step searching for safe and abundant habitats. Thanks to their increasingly venturesome spirit, things changed in other ways. Whether accidentally or intentionally, the prehistoric ancestors discovered the secrets of different stones. Besides making stone tools by chipping, they began to grind stones, creating portable microlithic tools and more versatile tools. In a sudden burst of ingenuity, the Neolithic Revolution ushered in the dawn of Chinese civilization. A great era was dawning. Maybe it happened like this. One autumn morning about 10,000 years ago, a gentle breeze blew through the lush vegetation, scattering fruits and seeds, which the waiting ancestors eagerly gathered up. But then, slowly but surely, they began to notice patterns. The subsequent new growth of plants and fruits after each winter was related to these scattered seeds. So, the ancestors selected the largest and roundest seeds from plants like the green foxtail. Then, once the ground had thawed, they planted them in fertile areas near their settlements. Another new age was about to dawn, the age of agriculture. They sowed, harvested, re-sowed, and harvested again. Through season after season of cultivation, humans began to understand the growth patterns of plants. The green foxtail became domesticated into millet, and humans embarked on agricultural civilization, with the years marked by spring planting and autumn harvesting. History is full of coincidences. Slightly earlier than this period, ancestors living in southern China were also exploring the secret world of plants. There, they domesticated a plant known as wild rice and started cultivating it. In both the north and the south, people living at different latitudes simultaneously initiated a revolution in production and lifestyle, gradually lifting the curtain on the Neolithic era. With a stable food source, people could lead a settled life. Human lifestyles were about to change in radical ways. In ancient Chinese agriculture, millet held a primary position. The oracle bone inscriptions unearthed from the Yin ruins contain numerous references to millet. The Xia and Shang dynasties are also sometimes referred to as the millet culture dynasties. Millet cultivation has been traced back to Cishan and Wuan, Handan. Cishan is situated on a plateau surrounded by mountains on three sides, backed by the majestic Tai Hong Mountains. These serve as a natural barrier, safeguarding the area. With river water flowing in abundance from the mountains, sedimentation created a lush and fertile plain, nourished by the meandering Naming River. The 1976 archaeological discoveries at Cishan transformed the world's understanding of the age and origin of millet cultivation. Of the 345 pits explored at the Cishan site, 88 were found to be grain storage pits containing carbonized millet. These discoveries suggested that millet was being cultivated in the Yellow River Basin more than 8,000 years ago. The existence of granaries suggests farming implements had improved during this period. Indeed, the site also yielded stone shovels for tilling, stone sickles for harvesting crops, and over 120 sets of stone grinders and pestles for processing food. Clearly, the Cishan people were already quite advanced when it came to agricultural production and grain processing. Perhaps it was the successful cultivation of millet that inspired the Cishan people in other ways. For example, by this point we see evidence of the domestication of chickens, dogs, and pigs. Numerous pig bones have been unearthed at the Cishan site, with around 60% of the pigs being slaughtered between 6 months to 1 year of age. This consistency suggests human management. The age of animal husbandry had arrived, and Cishan was very likely the place where pig raising originated in northern China. Round or oval semi-subterranean buildings with wooden frames, mud walls, and pillars supporting a roof covered with thatch. These were the homes of the settled Cishan people. Having a roof overhead that shielded them from the elements meant safety and tranquility. Having pigs inside, reared by their diligent hands, meant fullness and warmth. This was the initial understanding of home for the Chinese people, a place of comfort and happiness, dreams and hopes. As the aroma of roasting pig bones wafted from the bonfire, the millet porridge in the pottery jar on the bird head-shaped support thickened. It was millet that sustained the Cishan culture, as well as the Xinglongwa culture, Yangshao culture, Hongshan culture, and many others, continuously providing energy for the development of prehistoric northern Chinese cultures. But it wasn't just the Cishan people who built homes on the land of Hebei in the Neolithic period. About 200 kilometers from Nihewan, in Shijing Township of Shangyi County, Zhangjiakou, lies a place called Sitai. Situated on the southern edge of the Beijiang area, the land is flat and provided with ample water by a large lake. Around 10,000 years ago, a group of ancestors chose this place. Thereafter, their destiny was tied to this land. Coincidentally, like the Cishan people, the Sitai people's homes were also semi-subterranean, slightly larger in size, with a shallow pit for a hearth in the center. Unlike the Cishan people, the Sitai people's homes appeared to be planned. The excavated house ruins are neatly arranged, making it the earliest discovered batch of houses in China, indicating the emergence of early settled villages in northern China. Settled life led to a population increase, which allowed for more specialized division of labor. Sadly, the ancestors of Sitai did not yet have the means to record their activities. Fortunately, the land, rich and generous, recorded the passage of all things. When archaeologists connect the traces of time on the earth, the daily life of the Sitai people emerges vividly. It must have been an ordinary day. While some of the Sitai ancestors were carefully tending crops in the fields, with blades and shovels fashioned from stone, others were fishing and fetching water from the large lake. Meanwhile, back at home, some were using stone grinders and pestles to process stored grain in pottery jars. As night fell, smoke curled up from the bonfires. Amidst the fragrance of cooking millet, skillful ancestors used bone needles and awls to sew clothes, and bone hairpins to meticulously arrange their hair. Their exploration of nature had another consequence: a respect for beauty and a sense of human dignity. But the warmth of home and the stability of life did not dampen the ancestors' curiosity about the world. Some of the braver Sitai people began to search for traces of other communities and interact with them. This wide-mouthed jar with a pointed bottom was used by the Sitai ancestors for storage. It is unique to China. But if we look northward beyond the Inner Mongolia Plateau to the Baikal region, new discoveries are bound to emerge. Neolithic sites at the mouth of the Karenga River and the Yenisei River basin yielded similar jars. The resemblance of these vessels suggests that over 6,000 years ago, the Sitai ancestors had interactions and exchanges with the distant Baikal region in Russia. During this period, all across what is now Hebei, the early sparks of Neolithic civilization were gradually being lit. Although the ancestors in various places had different focuses, their ultimate goal was the same: to live better lives. In northern Hebei, discoveries made at Xiama Bay in Yushin County indicate that people embedded stones to make blades and ground stones to make dyes as long as 40,000 years ago. In Yujiago of Hutuliang Village, Yangyuan County, people fired pottery, as the oldest pottery fragments in North China have been unearthed here. In central Hebei, people learned to make pottery alongside hunting and gathering northeast of Nanzhuang-Tu Village, Shushui District, Baoding. At Beifuti in Cishan County, people built semi-subterranean houses along the Yishui River to shelter from wind and rain. They also created China's earliest and most well-preserved prehistoric masks. During days of sorrow, celebration, or indecision, they wore masks, sang, danced, and worshipped the heaven and the earth, praying for protection and blessings. Their dependence on nature and fear of uncertainties like the weather intertwined into a reverence for nature. During the Neolithic era, most people who once roamed across the vast expanse of China found ideal places for them to plant crops and build safe, comfortable homes. Because they led settled lives, they were able to accumulate survival wisdom, and their homes grew increasingly beautiful. With many homes side by side, tribes could form. This period marked the inception of an epoch in which different regions nurtured various types of cultures that eventually came together to form Chinese civilization. Their development varied, and in the process of self-growth, they continually interacted with and assimilated surrounding cultures. The dragon scale pattern painted pottery jar was unearthed at the Songguan site in Yushin County, with the dragon totem often found in the Hongshan culture of the Liaohe River basin. Alongside it, a rose pattern painted pottery basin, commonly seen in the Yangshao culture of the Yellow River basin, was also discovered. The simultaneous appearance of symbols from different cultures in Zhangjiakou suggests a significant historical intersection rather than mere coincidence. Zhangjiakou, located at the junction of the northern grasslands and the North China Plain, is where the Taihong and Yinshan Mountains converge. This area serves as a crucial conduit connecting the south and north, as well as the northwest. Historian Su Bingqi described Zhangjiakou as a three-way intersection of cultural integration, acting as a meeting point for ancient cultures from the Central Plains and the north, and a two-way channel for cultural exchanges. To the northeast of Zhangjiakou lies the Hongshan culture area of western Liaoning. To the southwest, the Yangshao culture regions of Shaanxi and Shaanxi. And to the west, the Neolithic cultures of the Hatao region in Inner Mongolia. These three directions and cultures interacted and blended here, much like the broader region of Hebei itself. In central and southern Hebei, Yangshao culture had a profound influence. At Diaoyutai and Baoding, decorated pottery seemed to have become a feature of daily life for the ancestors. In Nanyangzhuang of Shizhezhuang, 3 pottery shards have been identified as primitive porcelain. Such findings indicate that Chinese porcelain originated some 1,000 years earlier than hitherto supposed. In northern Hebei, artifacts from sites like Beijiang and Hotaizi show elements of Hongshan culture from Inner Mongolia and Liaoning regions. The Beijiang site revealed typical Hongshan jade artifacts, such as jade rings and jade pig dragons. Sites like Cishan and Dongzhai exhibit features of the Xing Longhua culture from Inner Mongolia. Su Bingqi vividly described the state of civilization at that time in China as stars in the sky, signifying the multitude of cultures that, through fission, collision, and fusion, eventually converged into what came to be known as Chinese civilization. In the Neolithic era, Hebei witnessed a flowering of diverse cultures. The complex and multifaceted cultural exchanges and integrations ultimately shaped Hebei as it is today, inclusive and flourishing. The 10,000-year cultural history of the Chinese nation shines brightly across all of Hebei. In the late Neolithic period, as settlements expanded, tribal alliances formed, continually growing in size and influence. Some agricultural tribes, having improved their productivity, successfully transitioned from primitive cultures to ancient civilizations, leading to the emergence of states and the formation of human civilization. From subsisting on raw meat and blood, to cultivating crops, from fire-making with wood, to building and settling in homes, every small advancement in human history was the culmination of a long period of nurturing. Before the advent of written language, stories of progress were passed down orally. Over time, these stories transformed into legends, and legends became myths, with figures like the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors deified by the passage of time, only to be humanized again by historians. This monumental task of recording was undertaken by the Western Han Dynasty historian Sima Qian. According to folklore, he traveled north to Zhangjiakou in search of the footprints of the Chinese ancestors. His findings enriched his imagination, inspiring him to write the opening chapter of his magnum opus, Records of the Grand Historian, titled Annals of the 5 Emperors. In Sima Qian's view, the title, Descendants of Yan and Huang Emperors for the Chinese people, was hard-earned, forged in the blood and fire of warfare. Around 5,000 years ago, Emperor Huang, Emperor Yan, and Qiyu were the leaders of the 3 most powerful tribes in the middle and lower reaches of the Yellow River, constantly at war with one another. Eventually, via the Battle of Banchuan and the Battle of Zhuolu, Emperor Huang conquered the tribes of Emperor Yan and Qiyu, achieving the first great fusion in Chinese history. An historic landmark had been reached. 5,000 years of Chinese civilization was about to begin. According to records of the Grand Historian, the area around Zhangjiakou, which Sima Qian visited, was the ancient battlefield upon which large-scale wars involving Emperor Huang, Emperor Yan, and Qiyu took place. For thousands of years, the history of the Chinese nation has been like an ancient, never-ending river, flowing tirelessly day and night. Just as all rivers converge into the sea, China has continually moved forward through integration and acceptance. After experiencing a period where regional civilizations progressed simultaneously, like stars filling the sky, Huaxia, the ancient China, emerged in the middle reaches of the Yellow River. Likewise, the land of Hebei had continually advanced. Experiencing both wars and integrations, it gradually coalesced and, under the influence of the Central Plains culture, became the long-lasting territories that would be known as Yan and Zhao. When the king of Qin unified the 6 states, China entered an era characterized by political unity and cultural diversity. Likewise, as if guided by a bright moon, Hebei, with its distinct characteristics of openness, integration, and diversity, continued to move forward in lockstep with the grand historical journey being made by the Chinese nation as a whole.